Today I teach you how to color grade in Hitfilm for Express. Before I explain what we're going to be doing on this episode, I just want to address the change in background. This video is kind of being made on short notice due to the amount of editing I had to do on our last short film, which is up now if you'd like to see that. But yeah. Welcome to Backyard Filmmaking. I'm your host Chris. In this week's episode, I'm going to be teaching you how to color grade in Hitfilm for Express. Color grading is something that is very crucial if you want your short film to have a certain tone, but the footage you initially shot doesn't really match up with that. This Hitfilm for Express tutorial is fairly easy and I hope it's helpful. And here we are. I'm in Hitfilm with some spare footage from our last episode of Backyard Filmmaking. Our very first step is to open the color correction folder under Effects. As you can see, there are various ways to color correct your footage. I'll be starting out by demonstrating the brightness and contrast effect. I'll be dragging it onto my clip. You will have to open the brightness and contrast settings in order to get results. You can fool around with the contrast. By hiring it up, it really gives it a very energetic look. Brightness, on the other hand, does exactly that. It just lightens up the footage, and I don't really prefer to use this. But sometimes darkening it could look nice, especially if you're going for a very grim tone. These two can work together. By hiring up the contrast a bit and lowering the brightness, I get a very interesting look. You can see the difference your color corrections have made by simply unchecking the effect. That's pretty dramatic. Now, I will be unselecting brightness and contrast, so we can work with some other presets. The next effect I'll be dragging on is Crush Blacks and Whites. I really enjoy this effect. I'll be opening up the toggle menu, and before we do anything too serious, I just want to show you guys something really cool you can pull off using this effect. By increasing the darkness in the shot all the way, and then lowering white, you get a really interesting flipped color look. Besides that, Crush Blacks and Whites can also work for adding a darker tone to your films. It can also lighten them up a bit, but combining the two can get you some pretty interesting results. Feel free to play around with the toggle switches and see what you get. Hitfilm for Express is really interesting in the colors it can produce. Once again, I will be unselecting Crush Blacks and Whites and moving down to Hue, Saturation, and Lightness. I'll be dragging the effect onto my clip. I'll be opening up the toggle menu, and as you can see, there are various different colors. Here, you can toggle the hue shift, which is really interesting. You can add a really cool green tinge to your film by only increasing the hue shift under red a very small amount. On the other hand, if you dial it all the way up, it will give you a very interesting neon green effect, while dialing it all the way down will give you a purple, pink, neon blue effect. Saturation is probably my favorite color grading tool because when increasing it all the way, it adds a very interesting, energetic feel to your footage, if that's what you're going for. On the other hand, lightness has very strange effects. By increasing it just a slight bit, it adds a very strange grain to the footage, but also increases a lot of the more light areas of your footage. I don't usually use this effect just because of the results, but it's really up to you if you use this or not. Now we can move down to yellow. This is a very similar effect to red, in which if you increase it a very small amount, it gives it a greenish tinge, while decreasing it gives you a more red-purple tinge. Saturation and lightness remain the same. Lightness is nearly identical to red, although it does have a few differences. Now, I'll be moving down to green. The hue shift doesn't do much in this case. As you can see, the only thing it's really doing is changing the background colors, such as the Hook figurine. Besides that, its saturation doesn't have much effect as well. Its lightness only makes a very small effect on your footage. Personally, I wouldn't really use the green setting under hue, saturation, and lightness. Now I'll be moving under cyan. Its hue shift has a very similar effect to green. It's only changing some background colors, like the labels on the cabinets behind me. You will see that its saturation doesn't do much either. Its lightness doesn't do much as well. Overall, green and cyan are pretty useless. Now let's move down to blue. Its hue shift has the same exact effects as green and cyan. It's only changing some background material, like the ski helmet and some of the labels. The hue shift on magenta changes my shirt. The saturation does the same, as does the lightness. The reason that green, cyan, blue, and magenta only interact with certain objects is because they only interact with green objects, such as the Hulk figure, cyan objects, blue objects, and magenta objects. It's very interesting, and overall, these 4 color settings are very useless. I'll be unselecting hue, saturation, and lightness. Now we can move over to white balance. The effects for white balance are very interesting, and I don't find them too useful just because of the very bright and vibrant color they give off. By changing the white balance and, let's say, increasing a little bit of red, it adds a green tone, similar to what the red under hue, saturation, and lightness did to the footage. You can really see what different balances of white do to your footage, such as increasing blue a bit. That adds a really cool yellow tinge to the footage, which can give it an old western look. Choosing a light shade of green gives a nice purple shade. Choosing a purple gives a nice green shade. Choosing a lightish orange of sorts gives a cool turquoise blue. In the end, I find brightness and contrast, crushed blacks and whites, hue, saturation, and lightness, and white balance all very helpful color correction and color grading tools for your short films. And there you have it. Multiple ways to easily grade your footage in Hitfilm for Express, each grade giving off a different tone and mood. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Backyard Filmmaking. If you enjoyed, don't be afraid to hit that like button or even subscribe. If you have any suggestions, tell us in the comments below, and thanks for watching!